Hey, just so you know, everything this was, it really was real to me. So, call me back.
Hi, my name is Jack, um, better known as Church. I'm the creator of this world, and I'll be your guide throughout it. I'm going to tell you the story of Mobius, which, by definition, is the past 2 years of my life. So whenever you're ready, you can just grab that disc right off the desk and put it into the player. I can't tell if it looks more like a stand-up comedy stage or a funeral home. Picture this. You have a little idea for a world. So you start with that idea, you begin work on this little project, and the people you show it to start to take interest in it. That recognition really drives you, but soon enough, you hit a roadblock. You don't really know what you're doing. You're full of this promise of something great, but truly, you started work on an idea that you never finished. In simple terms, that's what Mobius is, an unfinished idea. But if the idea was never finished, would you really be here now? No, you wouldn't. But how did we get here? Well, I'm going to tell you all about it. Just stay with me for a while, and I promise you'll find out. So, let's start with a question. Why was the disc called Madness? Before I answer that, I'll tell you this. I intend to tell you this story by splitting it off into different parts. Each has its own corresponding disc, date, and name, as you saw before. Starting off with Madness. Madness was actually the original name of Mobius. This was way back when I intended to make it simply a mindless walking simulator with really strange and abstract environments. It still kind of retains that walking simulator aspect today. Take that as you will in playing this world. But anyways, I showed these environments to a lot of people, and you know what? I got so much support. I had people giving me ideas, I had a lot of positive feedback. And it wasn't even that good of quality back then. I was only just learning how to make worlds. So over time, with that feedback and such, I just started pumping out more and more of these environments and putting them into this quote-unquote madness project, with no real direction or sense of purpose of why I was doing it. They were just there to walk around in. Currently, you're in a sort of stripped-down version of the very first alpha of the Madness Project, which is actually currently public if you want to go and play that at some point. But for a little bit, I'm just going to let you go on your own, and I will get back to you when we're ready to start the next section. As promised, I'm back. You're currently approaching the very end of this part. But anyways, this is actually the last environment I ever made for the very first alpha, the quote-unquote Madness Project. Before the project started to hit its development hell phase, which unfortunately lasted for a whole 2 years. So for a while, you and I are going to go look through a lot of those iterations that were made during the development hell phase. And I won't be able to include every single part of that phase because, believe me, There is a lot to look at, a lot that happened during those 2 years, but I'll do my best to sum it up for you. So, let's go check that out, shall we? Mobius release date, June 20th, 2028. Okay, so you've got a base, you've got something rudimentary, but still a good base to build off of. Now, where do you go from there? This is when you go blank. Do me a favor, try to think of some sort of story for the levels I showed you. It's difficult, isn't it? I thought the same. So you might ask, why even add a story? Why not just make it a mindless walking simulator like how it already was? I very well could have, but I just couldn't stand the idea of it not having any meaning. I don't know if you've been to any of my other worlds on this platform, but 9 times out of 10, they have some sort of symbolism hidden within them. And that symbolism was really only ever placed there for me. I wanted to expand that symbolism into something more memorable and impactful for people other than myself. But how do I tell a meaningful story? I still don't even know how. So you know what? Let's just keep adding to what we already have. You've already been here before. Same environment, new, strange changes. That became a trend for the entirety of the rest of development of Mobius, constantly backtracking to something I had made in the past and altering it slightly, or even in some cases just straight up removing it simply because I didn't like it anymore. I'm not going to comment on this area. Not yet. I probably won't. Just keep moving.
Feels like an industrial highway. Finally, it says fuck you and it's even off the grid. It's like going to business where music plays in the road. Concrete building, cockpit, and someone wants to flip off the button. This room feels like an ad for an emergency call. They use this every block to suggest tracking. Fantastic. Fair traffic reality check. This room is about to get real. Every step feels like a chain reaction. This room feels like an ideal pause. Just a giant fucking smile.
For the next few iterations of Mobius, I really wanted it to be heavily puzzle-oriented. You can kind of see that idea starting to show itself with that key you just got. So I'm going to take a minute to talk about a semi-obscure piece of media. There's this mod for Doom called My House. And yes, I'm going to go into detail talking about a fucking Doom mod in my VR chat story world. So anyways, it's this whole ARG where you explore a recreation of a dead guy's house within Doom. And as you progress, things start to twist and contort, and it takes you on this really wild journey. I was about halfway through development of Mobius, or at least this iteration, when it came out. I saw it, and I thought it was really cool. So I wanted to make something like it myself. So being me in my search of whatever I was trying to do with this world, I tried to integrate similar concepts into Mobius. Now, instead of walking through a bunch of environments, you had to find a key or decode Morse code or something to get to the end. A lot of VR chat puzzle worlds really like Morse code. Have you ever noticed that? Anyways. It worked for the time being. Another sort of philosophy that game/mod introduced me to was always returning to a specific place, finding new things every time. Something new out of place, or something previously impossible. Progression that always roots back to the start. This is actually where this chapter ends, but since I have to tell you this story in chronological order, we're going to have to wait a little bit before I can show you what one of those puzzle-focused iterations look like. The next chapter is gonna be a little bit more bittersweet than any other. I'll see you there. Why? Because I enjoy being around you, that's why. I'm gonna take sort of a detour with this chapter. It'll make sense later. I know that the last chapter was pretty short. This one is gonna be pretty short too. Can you see the stars? Who am I kidding? Of course you can. You know, someone once told me that the very first star you see in the sky at night is a past loved one looking down on you. I thought that was so beautiful. When I was told that, it was the first time I had cried in a while. From that night on, when I was told that, the stars never looked the same to me. They had been given such a beautiful new meaning. But to me, nothing was as beautiful as one star I saw that night. Can you see it? It guides you, doesn't it? It shines so uniquely and so beautifully. Why wouldn't it? Right here, it was where I decided. That's it. There's the story I was looking for.
I got an itch, but what can I do? It's all I do is think about how she take the truth. Now hit the switch, and now she's so tight. Standing in the kitchen with that look in her eyes. I said, oh, I lost my head again. 'Cause he's the one you're drinking with, and you don't know you're better off alone.
Chapter 3, Stray. Then it takes a turn because of the pink star. The story goes in a whole different direction because the star is actually something fucking good in the player's life. It's all a metaphor for everything that's happened in the past, year to me, right? Now that we've got that somber yet necessary chapter out of the way, I can show you what one of those puzzle-focused versions look like. This one does its own narration, so I'll just let you go on your own for a bit. I know that this is a strange place to interject, but this is actually where this part ends. I never made it farther into development of this version past this part. What you just played was the initial version of this inner stability tagline. I tried to demonstrate a metaphor here, the feeling of constantly going back and forth, but ultimately getting nowhere. A false sense of fulfillment. But then you found a loophole. You escaped the cycle. Then where would you go? Well, I couldn't tell you because that's actually where I stopped development of this version, like I said. In which I scrapped in favor of a new version that was actually more true to that very first version that you played. So you can either keep up this infinite cycle of building bridges, or go up that bridge that just appeared to move on to the next part. Welcome to my project Mobius. My name is Jack, and I'm the creator of this map, and you'll probably find my voice scattered across this world. This project has been in development for roughly 2 years now. I welcome you to explore my work. However, there is one promise you must make before entering. It doesn't really apply if you don't know me directly, and that promise is that you do not speak of this world to me. Hey, I'm gonna cut in real quick just to say that you're absolutely free to talk to me about the world. That was just a revival of an old intro sequence, and, yeah, okay, bye-bye. going out on a walk. I'll be back in a little bit. There came a point where I felt really lost. I couldn't drive myself anymore. I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know what to do. Losing something important is hard to stomach. Everyone finds that out the hard way. The stars weren't out that night. I remember I simply put on my coat and just walked aimlessly for hours. I looked at Christmas decorations, I laid down in a field. I did everything I could just to distract myself. I don't know why, but I always felt ashamed of myself for things I had no control over. I felt ashamed for the ways I acted when, in reality, I had done nothing wrong. Some kind of guilt always beat down on me, a guilt that had absolutely no place in my mind. Self-destructive is how I would describe it. I wish I wasn't that way. I wish I wasn't so dependent. I fall in love, and I don't fall out. It's a horrible pit to be trapped in. I hate love. I wish I could learn to love it. But I'd hate that too, because it would be all too different from how I learned it the first time. Imagine you're far away from home. You have people there that make you feel at home, but it isn't home. In a way, I feel that both of us knew exactly how that felt. But then, the clouds started to go away. There it was, back in the sky again. And just like that, the next few months was the loveliest time of my life.
Hey man, how's it been going?
Everything's great, man. We're picking her up from the airport in a couple hours.
Are you excited?
Of course I am.
I better see some photos, man.
Flight 924 now arriving. Flight 427 now departing.
But then, just like that, it was over again. Just as quickly as it came, it was gone again. I'm sorry. I just wanted to call to hear your voice again.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. At the tone, please record your message.
Could you please stay? Just for a little longer.
And now here you are, directionless once again. What now? What is Mobius? What will it be, and what can it be? What could it be with nothing left in the sky to lead me? No North Star to follow. It's fitting, isn't it? A Mobius strip is an infinite loop. I was in a loop. There was a chapter called Inner Stability earlier on in this world. For a while it was the running tagline. It was called Mobius Inner Stability. That whole version was trying to explore what that word meant. What defines inner stability? Because, in all honesty, I made the word up. That's what it told you. You read it yourself. But now that we're past that, I can explain it to you here. The word inner stability, defined by me, was basically just codependence and the necessity of breaking it. I'm sure there's a word out there for it, but I needed an interesting tagline. So the word inner stability was born. I wanted to break free from my dependency, but it was what kept me going in the first place. A really unfortunate loop. Mobius was ever weighing down on me. I wanted to make something meaningful. I chased what made it meaningful to me, but in the end I couldn't reach it. So, I can't keep dwelling on it. I can't let Mobius keep drilling this hole into me. And for one last time, there it was. It wasn't the same anymore, but there nonetheless. One last time, I could follow it. This time, in its light, all I saw was echoes of everything we had built together, and beside it, the ruins of our own. The light that once illuminated them, now directed elsewhere. Even in that absence, I could still see those ruins. It pained me to see that it was now meaningless and left aside. The things that once made me happy, I began to resent. I had never felt a greater pain, a greater unease. Though, if not for this brief period, we wouldn't be here. Its light wasn't the same, and I know it never will be again, no matter my miss. So, you know what the answer truly was? The story wrote itself. By taking everything it took to get here, packing it nice and neatly into one package to represent everything it was and everything it ever could have been, would be the perfect kiss goodbye to itself. As we said goodbye for the last time, I knew I had to start being my own light. Those words are a lot easier said than done. So I'll just hope I can trust myself in this, the same I once did with my North Star. But I guess in the end I really did find my story. And finally, I told it to you, directly and completely. And maybe, just maybe, I will finally find my peace in this project.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
Yo, this is the last voice line I'm recording for this map. And it's kind of just me yapping about the project itself. Kind of just like a, you know, a wrapping up kind of message to everybody. And mainly to the people who made this possible, who are all on the wall over there, you can see them. I can't express how grateful I am to have all of you wonderful people with me throughout this, not only this experience, but everything it led from, I mean, you know, this map tells a very somber story, ups and downs, all over the fucking place. And some of the people, most of the people on that list, are people that helped me through it, and I can't express how grateful I am for all of you, for being there for me, and for supporting me in this journey of this project. It's truly been a great experience, at least the development of this final version. Not so much the other versions that you just played through. But I also want to say thank you to everyone who took the time out of their day to play this. And I know it's a story that's kind of centered around me, and some people might have gotten bored and fucking left already. I don't blame you. We're hitting a really niche audience here, people who kind of just wanted to hear me yap for probably, I'm thinking, an hour or more. If you completed it in less than that time, then Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah. Just I'm struggling with the words. I guess I don't have anything else to say. Thank you for being here. Thank you for playing. Thank you for everything. And I hope this map reached you in some way. I hope you enjoyed it. I put a lot of work into it, and yeah. Until next time.
Hello and welcome to your new fucking job at the new and improved Mobius by Chuch. I'm here to talk to you through things of your first playthrough here and help you mentally prepare yourself for the crazy motherfuckers that come along with this job. Now, I want you to forget anything about what you've heard about the previous worlds. You know, some people still have obsessive tendencies towards those worlds. Those worlds were kind of left to rot for quite a while, but I assure you, Chuch is committed to give us an amazing experience and above all, quality. He spent a long time with this idea, making it about his life, and he even got some of his friends to voice in it. Isn't that neat? But most importantly, it's mostly a serious experience, much like the beginner's guide, so it can hurt your heart from a mile away. Hell, we should be paying him for his work. With that being said, no new world is without its kinks. You're only the 15th person to explore this place. The first guy complained about the worlds trying to influence him, but we moved him away for voice acting, so hey, lucky you, right? He might have expressed concerns that some of the walls try to trap him, and the voices in his head seem to be growing louder. While the dev doesn't seem to have an explanation for this, we assume it's because that guy is chronically online. So when he's alone in a world, he starts to lose it a little. In this case, he starts to imagine the voice actually having conversations with him. We have a temporary solution to this, however, and that's by putting subtitles so that you are aware that it's not an actual conversation, but just a part of the experience. As you might see, with the new modern type of Chuch's worlds, is that there's not too much to interact with between rooms. But hey, you can take pretty pictures in the world, so don't worry about being bored. Well, I think that's it. You should be golden. Play through the world, avoid excessive freaks, and stare at subtitles if you have to. Piece of cake. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you next time.